Well, hello, and welcome to episode 247 of Drink the Movies. I'm Brian here, as always, with Michaela. And Michaela, 'tis the season to be jolly. Fa la 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 la. Let's talk about some Christmas movies. Today, we're talking about Batman Returns.
Batman Returns. And for those of you who don't know, this is totally a Christmas movie. It happens around Christmas. The opening sequence is the lighting of the tree. It looks very similar to what Rockefeller Center looks like. It is not Rockefeller Center. It is Gotham City, which means everything. It's the worst time to do anything ever. Don't go anywhere if you live in Gotham City because someone's going to try and destroy it and kill everybody. Um,
Yeah,
Batman Returns. I had no idea that this was a Christmas movie. I mean, I guess I should have remembered that, but I had forgotten because it
yeah.
had been a while since I've seen it.
Not only is it set at Christmas, which is, kind of like Die Hard adjacent, right? Die Hard set at Christmas, so everyone considers it to be a Christmas movie. Not only is it set at Christmas, it like leans into the fact that it is Christmas here in Gotham City. If you live in Gotham City, like Michaela said, stay indoors or maybe think about moving, get out of Gotham City. It never seems like things are going that well here, and things are not going well in Gotham City this time around. But we're back with Tim Burton, we're back with Michael Keaton, and we're excited to talk about Batman Returns. A lot of people watch this as like their cult Christmas movie. And Batman Returns, something that didn't get a lot of recognition upon its release. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to be talking about the legacy of it. We're going to be talking about the holiday cheer of all of that. But before we do that, we need some holiday cheer in a glass. So let's go ahead and grab some barrel-aged gin, something I don't think we've
Mhm.
ever used before. Michaela, and it might be your first time ever having it. We'll talk about that, and we'll be right back to mix up this week's drink.
So, Brian, we've talked a lot about a lot of different kind of alcohol. We've talked about whiskey, and we've talked about bourbon, and we've talked about wine, and all of those things are generally kept in some sort of barrel, even if it's a stainless steel barrel, right? Like white wine.
Hmm. Yep.
But
Hmm.
barrel aged gin, I've heard of it. I'm sure I've heard of it, but I've never had it before until today. And today was a great day for barrel aged gin.
Today was a great day for Michaela, having some barrel-aged gin, guaranteed. So, yeah, barrel-aged gin is something that I've known about for quite a while. I got my first bottle of it probably like 12 years ago, and I remember like seeing it on the store shelf. I was working at the liquor store at the time. Shout out to Lisa's Liquor Barn up in Rochester, New York. So go check them out and check out the bottle of this barrel-aged gin. But yeah, I would pass this bottle like at work and I would see it and I would say, that is interesting. That looks delicious. That would be very unique in a martini. And one day I decided to buy it and buy it I did. I made a martini and I'm like, that's really interesting. Not my favorite martini, not my favorite of gin martinis, but really distinct, really interesting tasting. It has a little bit of like subtle like barrel notes to it. And I'm like, this is
Mm.
lovely. And you can play around with it. Using a barrel aged whiskey in a Negroni is, in fact, one of my favorite ways to have a Negroni. It's really, really good. And I found this cocktail, and it comes from Caledonia Spirits, who make Bar Hill gin, which is one of my favorite gins. It's distilled, I think honey is the primary like distillate in this. It's not sweet in any sort of way, but it has like this soft, subtle like honey like mouthfeel to it. It's really, really delicious. And I saw that they make a barrel aged gin, and it's called Big Cat, right? Is that what it's called?
Mm.
Uh,
Tomcat.
Tomcat. It is called Tomcat Barrel Aged Gin, and they have a cocktail with that called the Big City Cat. And I said, you know what would be better than a Big City Cat? That would be a Gotham City Cat.
Yeah, Gotham City Cat. This is a really simple recipe. I mean, we could have put this on a lobby bar because it is that simple. But it's kind of inspired, I feel like. So Caledonia Spirits, thank you very much for the recipe that we are shamelessly stealing and calling it a Gotham City Cat. It is really simple to put together. You're going to take a shaker tin. You're not shaking this, but you're going to put everything in it. You're going to take 2 ounces of barrel aged gin. You could do Tomcat gin if you want, or any other barrel aged gin. Then an ounce of sweet vermouth. You're going to want to pick a good one here. And then 3 to 4 dashes of aromatic bitters. That's a lot. We know we're going to talk about it. Okay. Then you're going to stir this. You're not going to shake it. You want to stir it, get everything really nicely incorporated. You can add a cherry as a garnish if you want. You can even add like a orange peel if you want. Give it a little bit of more citrusiness to it. Put that in strain it into a cup, into a rocks glass with some more ice in it, and enjoy this very grown up, very dark, gritty, mature. I feel like it represented the movie pretty well, actually.
It did represent it pretty well, and I was immediately stricken. I was drinking this. I turned the movie on, and about in the first scene, you get Mr. and Mrs. Cobblepot like staring out the window, drinking a martini. I'm like, hey, there you go. This is kind of in line with that. And we had already done a martini for the first Batman when we covered that last year. I think is when we did that because the Joker there is drinking a martini. So apparently Tim Burton likes some martinis in his movies, and who doesn't? This basically here, the Gotham City Cat, is just the barrel-aged gin version of a Manhattan, right? You're swapping out the bourbon or the blended whiskey or whatever, and you're putting in the barrel-aged gin for that. 3 to 4 dashes of the aromatic bitters. That's a little bit heavier than your normal Manhattan recipe is going to call for, and I think that that is to kind of give it a little bit more structure, right? The gin doesn't have quite as much oomph to it as the whiskey would. You certainly get some of those kind of same barrel aged flavors, but gin still has that that juniper kind of presence to it. So it's definitely tastes a little bit different. And I think you need the aromatic bitters there to kind of round that out. Michaela, you made yours in a rocks glass with some ice, which is one of the two ways you can have a proper Manhattan or the Gotham City Cat in this instance. I went straight up just into a coupe glass. You want to make sure that is really, really ice cold. And drinking this, I think that we probably had different experiences because I think yours is probably more like a whiskey forward Manhattan kind of a thing, where mine tasted more of like a Manhattan martini because I was drinking it
Mm,
straight up. So it was really interesting, kind of in that sense, because I was like, this is very like martini forward, but it still had like, that sweet vermouth and the bitter like
mm.
component. So it was kind of like a good go between. But what do you think of this? What do you think of barrel aged gin? What do you think it might be good in? Let everyone know.
Yeah, so I think for me, I took 2 sips and I was like, oh God, there's way too much bitters. This to me, it was very bitter forward, but I will say it sinks into it really nicely, and I think the ice melt really helps with that. I think that it would be an interesting kind of side by side comparison to do like just an up version of this in a coupe glass versus the one with ice, because as I settle into this drink, I'm finding that I'm enjoying it more and more because probably because of the ice melt and that the bitters kind of even everything out. I really think that you're right around the structure of it, and
Mhm.
needing the extra backbone, as it were, right? Because we don't have that in a gin, that we would have it in a normal Manhattan. So I don't know. I really like this. I love a vermouth. I mean, we talk all the time about one of our favorite cocktails that we made in like 2022 was our Groundhog Day cocktail, which is literally just sweet vermouth and a twist of lemon. I love a vermouth. I think it adds such a beautiful like unctuousness to the drinks that you can add it to without it being overly sweet. I think that this is really inspired. I really liked it. I'm surprised that I've never had a barrel aged gin, but I gotta say now, I've got an entire bottle, and I'm gonna be putting it in a Negroni. I'm gonna be experimenting with it all year next year for sure.
Well, there you go. Absolutely. So, just a disclaimer out there, this is a very boozy drink. So if you're going to be, cruising around in your Batmobile, make sure you get a designated driver out there if you're having a couple of these Gotham City cats. So, with that, Michaela, let's go ahead and grab that bottle. Tom, what is it called?
Tomcat gin.
Of your Tomcat gin. Let's mix up another one of these and let's get into this week's movie, Batman Returns.
Well, come what may. Merry Christmas, Mr. Wayne.
Merry Christmas, Albert. Goodwill toward men and women.
Spoiler warning for Batman Returns. If you've not yet seen this film and you don't want us to spoil all the endings, surprise! That's exactly what we're going to do. So, my advice is to go make yourself up a Gotham City Cat. Enjoy it. Go and find Batman Returns. This is the 1992 one, not anything else. Everybody's freaking out because they were. I was talking to my kid earlier and he thought we were talking about some other Batman. It's the Batman Returns. It's Tim Burton's one. We're going to talk about all the things. So go watch it. Go make a cocktail while you're watching it. You're going to need it probably because it's real dark, real gritty. And come back and listen to us as we chat about it.
It's funny, actually, if your kiddo thought that it was one of the different Batmans, because apparently Batman Returns is what inspired Christopher Nolan and whoever did the Batman. I'm totally drawing a blank on his name right now. Here, I'm gonna look it up real quick. and inspired Matt Reeves to make the Batman. So that tracks, I guess. Maybe that tracks. So if you haven't seen it, you've had plenty of time because this released in 1992. It was directed by Tim Burton, and back again as Bruce Wayne is Michael Keaton. Christopher Walken plays Max Schreck, the terrible rich guy. Danny DeVito is Oswald Cobblepot, aka the orphaned underground dwelling penguin, and Michelle Pfeiffer plays Selina Kyle, who is reborn as Catwoman. So this is the follow-up, of course, to Tim Burton's 1989 Batman, a film that we talked about. And that film we talked about, you can go back and listen to it, but the long and short of that movie was it came out, people were very skeptical of it. They were very skeptical of Tim Burton. They were very skeptical of Michael Keaton. And then the film went on to make like, I don't know, like like $550 million in 1989, which is like an astronomical amount of money. So, of course, Warner Brothers says, "Hey, Tim Burton, about that Batman thing, you wanted to come back and do another one of those, right?" And he says, "No, I do not want to do that. Leave me alone. I'm busy doing other things." And they say, "But could you please come back, though?" And Tim Burton says, "Fine, I will, but I get to do whatever I want." And they said, "Okay." And thus, you get Batman Returns. Michaela, I haven't seen Batman Returns in a long time. I watched it, a couple times when it came out. I think I had like the
Sure.
VHS tape of it, but I mean, it was like a big like deal when it was coming out, and I seem to remember that people were like, "This is terrible."
I don't remember if people thought it was terrible. I mean, I grew up in a single dad household. So my dad was like, Michelle Pfeiffer looks amazing. And he loved Danny DeVito
Everyone thought
as
that.
everybody thought that, right? So he was like, well, want to watch it again? Fine. But he also really loved Danny DeVito as this penguin character. The makeup in this is astounding. I didn't realize it was Danny DeVito until like halfway through the movie, seeing it as a kid. And my dad like played this game. He was like, if you can tell me who it is, I'll take you for a burger after or whatever. And I was like, I don't know who this is. I don't know who this is. And I finally like got it like halfway through the movie. But it's a testament to the makeup, right? I mean, you're gonna get more of the stuff that Tim Burton was known for and famous for in the 80s, right? It's going to be a lot of zany costumes. It's going to be a lot of darkness. It's going to be like this almost childlike wonder, but very dark, very adult. And in the first Batman, I mean, it gets really gritty. There are parts of the first Batman that are like with the acid that are just super scary and terrifying, and they're not like holy sardines. And so we were hoping for more of that. So I don't know why people thought this was terrible, because it's just more of the same stuff that made it a boatload of money in the first place. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think one of the main critiques of the film, kind of the original time around, was just that it was really, really dark. And watching it again now in 2025, I'm like, holy smokes, this is really, really dark. Which is funny because people kind of thought that, and then it went lighthearted, right? You got like Joel Schumacher's like Batman, kind of after this, which went more like cartoonish and clowny. Then people didn't like that, and now people have ultimately, just relished in the fact that Batman is dark and gritty, right? There's no room for anything other than that. So it's funny how like this kind of like set the tone for that, and it was maybe just ahead of its time a little bit in that sense. But we're going to circle back to kind of the legacy of this film as we get into it. I thought maybe better than talking through like the things that are happening in this movie, which is basically just a Christmas story. This is kind of a story about Michael Keaton, playing Bruce Wayne, playing Batman, and encountering like these three villains that are kind of like mirror images of himself in certain ways. So I thought what we could do is we could just kind of talk about these three villains. That'll, kind of suffice as to getting through the story here. So let's talk with the first one that we're introduced to. Technically, I guess we're introduced to Penguin, first little baby penguin, floating down the river in the sewer. That's sad.
The first two villains are the parents who decide we don't know what to do with our special needs child, so we're going to lock him in a cage. And when we see him kill the family cat, we decide to take him, literally sell him up the river in like Moses style, except the Moses basket is like locked, it's black, it's terrifying, and it's in the middle of winter. Okay, those are the first two villains. Let's just get that out of the way.
those are potentially the first two villains. We'll talk more about Penguin because I think he is the key to all of this here in a second. So let's talk about Christopher Walken. He's playing Max Schreck. who is listed here on Wikipedia as a ruthless industrialist. Max Shrek is just a jerk, but he is played by Christopher Walken, so that's pretty exciting. There he has like crazy like big hair, which is pretty fun, pretty fun. And he's like leading like a boardroom of people, and basically you think of your billionaire evil doers. That's exactly who this guy is. He's trying to like petition the city to build what is that, like an energy plant, but it turns out that that energy plant really is like a reverse energy plant that's going to suck all of the energy out of the city instead of providing the city with energy, which seems like any like low level engineer might have figured out on their own when they were looking at these building plans. But to each his own. To each his own. Let's talk about Max Shrek. What do you like about Max Shrek? What do you think about his kind of journey here in this story? And I guess how do you think he parallels in some way to uh, Bruce Wayne?
So Max Shrek's first hats off again to the makeup specialist because again, this is Christopher Walken. It doesn't look like Christopher Walken to me at all. Like it's the only time I've ever seen him play like a bad guy, and maybe I'm just obtuse and I'm missing something. But when I think about him, I think about him in you know Hairspray. I think about him in a bunch of other stuff where he's kind of this zany kind of character. He does a really great job, and half of it I really think is the makeup because he looks like a mad scientist. He's got these amazing eye makeup. I don't know how they did it because somehow they make like his eyes look super dark and the rest of him super light without it looking like a caricature. It looks amazing. And it's very subtle to me, but I think that really is a testament to the art form of the makeup. He is very ruthless. Like he kind of gets off on scaring his secretary that he could kill her, he could have her killed, and then you think that he's not going to, and then he like totally pushes her out a window. Like he's real gross. But he has a lot of love for his son. And so his familial ties is kind of interesting. His son is like this plastic faced oof, right? Who,
Right.
who
Yeah.
he's trying to build this dynasty for. And I think that's kind of interesting. Um, and to compare that to Bruce Wayne, I mean, they both have tons of money. They both can pretty much do whatever they want. But Bruce Wayne's kind of darkness leads him to want to kind of be this knight in like literally the Dark Knight and right wrongs and try and use technology and use his fortune for good rather than this guy just wants to gain more power. And so that's kind of the dichotomy that we see there.
hmm Yeah, because they're pretty similar, I guess, in terms of like their background, right? They're just both these incredibly wealthy, like industrialist type of figures there. But as you mentioned, Max Shrek is using his for evil to build like this legacy for his son, whereas Bruce Wayne is kind of using his to, for good, for things for Gotham City, to improve Gotham City, to leave the legacy of the city and of his family, of his family name there. So I think that that's pretty interesting to have kind of that character and that. And then you mentioned his receptionist, right? Selina Kyle, played by Michelle Pfeiffer there. This very kind of meek secretary who decides to speak up at the wrong time there, which is pretty icky and disgusting, as this table full of wealthy industrialist men and politicians and things are sitting around there, and how dare she raise a question or a comment about this? And yeah, Max Shrek basically is just pushes her out the window, right? Toys with her emotions, does that, and Selena Kyle crashes through. I love kind of the symbolism of this. I don't love people being pushed out of windows, but I love that because Max Shrek is it's like his business thing, and it's like this weird like kind of like cartoonish balloon like cat face kind of a thing. So as she's pushed out, she goes through like three or four of these like cat face window things, and ends up hitting the ground there to being pushed out of this high-rise window. So that's not great. That's not great. And she becomes Catwoman in this, which is very cartoony. I didn't look to see like what like other like origins of Selena Kyle's Catwoman are, but this feels very like fantasy driven, where these cats are, kind of coming around and doing that. I remember always being like really like kind of like grossed out because the cats are like biting her fingers and her fingers are like bloody and stuff like that. But she kind of goes through this transformation, this rebirth as Catwoman, and this owns her independence, owns her sexuality, owns her power and her aggressiveness, and she turns from the meek-mannered Selena Kyle to the strong Catwoman.
I always thought her character transformation was like the quintessential kind of Tim Burton-ish kind of experience of it all, because this is where it gets very fantastical. Anybody, no matter how many windows they fall through, that kind of breaks their fall, they're probably going to die. I mean, she was on like the 67th floor, okay, and it won't.
Catwoman falls through a lot of things in
She
this
falls through a
story.
lot of things. And I guess these cats kind of bring her back to life. She comes back to her room. Her apartment is my favorite color. It's baby pink everywhere until it's not. She has this weird moment where she starts breaking things and she destroys a bunch of stuff. And then she goes into her closet and she takes a coat and she somehow puts medical grade boning in it and a corset. I don't know how she does it, but she looks amazing at the end of it. It is the quintessential like cat. It's my favorite Catwoman costume of all time. Catwoman has had a million different renditions throughout the years, and this one is by far my favorite. And I don't really know why. I mean, she looks great. It's a lot of pleather, but just the watching her like kind of lose her mind and then regain herself in a very different way. And then the next day when she shows up at work, um, her boss is terrified because he's like, I killed you. Pretty sure you're dead. And she's like, oh, honey, that's so cute that you think that I only have one life. Like she's like super confident and she's very dismissive of him. And Bruce Wayne happens to be there because they're having a conversation about this power plant that's not real. And he takes notice of her. And that kind of starts that whole relationship rabbit hole that we start to go down. But I think her transformation, this scene is really, really cool. Um, she just becomes very like empowered, and like the old Selina Kyle is just completely gone. Um, and like and now she's like this sex vixen. Everybody wants her. She's shows up at a Christmas party and everybody's just oogling her completely. It's quite adult, some of the conversations that are happening. She loves to like reach down and assault men like by grabbing their pants. It's real weird. As a kid, you kind of like that she gets her power back, but again, it's a lot darker than I remember it being.
Yeah, it's a lot darker. It's a lot more adult. I love her transformation. You mentioned she goes back to the apartment and she just goes like bananas on the apartment, right? Like she is having like a full on like meltdown as she goes through this transformation, which is pretty epic and pretty mind blowing. I like what Tim Burton kind of does here in this instance with the character of Selena Kyle because it's kind of one of those like rom-com like teen high school like romantic like trope kind of things where you got like the nerdy girl there with the glasses and she takes off the glasses and then all the dudes are like, oh my gosh, look at you, I never knew that you were like this. And Selena Kyle does kind of the same thing, except on the other side of it she comes out basically like all powerful, like in control of everyone here, right? She is in control of Max Shrek, she is in control of the Penguin, she is in control of Batman, she is in control of everything throughout this film, which I think is really really pretty neat. And then kind of the duality of her and Batman, right? It's a secret identity. It's kind of, it's really putting on this mask to become who you really are. Like inside, it's who you're projecting out into the world because you can't project that as Selena Kyle or as Bruce Wayne. So I think that that's really interesting. And then it does lay into the aspects that we have of Catwoman and Batman, being romantically linked, right? It does play into those tropes as well for the Batman stories. And then we have our third and biggest bad of the story, maybe to some degree. We have the Penguin, played by Danny DeVito, or Oswald Cobblepot, as he's going to find out when he goes back through those birth records. Does he do that so he can find out who his parents are? Maybe, but maybe he does it for something far more nefarious because this movie is dark. Also, there's a lot of penguins, and I love penguins.
Yeah, the penguins are great. I will say,
Penguins with rockets. Who doesn't love
penguins with
that?
little rockets, they're so cute. And they're little waddling. Like it does make you wonder a couple of things though. Number one, if the penguins and the zoo, the Arctic world that the zoo has, which is outside, which doesn't make a lot of sense, but whatever. If that were to receive a gift like Moses in a sewer, okay, how would they have opened the wicker cage, and how would they have carried the baby?
Maybe the
Like,
circus performers were already down there. You're on like second generation circus people
oh
down in the
yeah,
underground.
maybe.
Maybe
Okay,
they'd already be
well,
driven underground. I don't know. Penguins can
I
do
don't know.
anything.
Penguins can do anything.
The penguins push Penguin, Oswald, the Penguin. They push him out into the pool so he can go. They give him like a proper like penguin burial later
They do. It's so
in the
cute.
film.
Like Peg,
I
he
mean, it's as
and
cute
this.
as that could possibly be, I suppose. That's true.
I mean, yeah. No, I. So this penguin is. You feel so bad for this at the beginning, right? Because these socialite parents, right? They are
Mhm.
ashamed that their child is different. But then also their child is obviously not well either, right? Like you don't see, but you hear what they do, what this penguin does to a cat, and so they send this poor creature away, and he has some conversations with Max Shrek, right? Max Shrek says, "What do you want? You know, you're creepy. People don't like you. What do you want?" And he's like, "Oh, all I want is one thing. I want access to the city records because I want to know who my parents are. I want to know why. I need some closure." And Max Shrek is sort of disillusioned with the mayor who put him in the place of power that he currently is. He's like, I need somebody else to blame all this bad stuff on. Let's blame it on that mayor. Let's have uh, the Penguin kind of run for mayor in some sort of campaign. And so they kind of team up together, like the enemy of my enemy is my friend kind of thing. But the whole idea that the Penguin wants to know all of these records is much darker, and it's really watching it as a kid, it's very different than watching it as an adult, because he wants these records because he wants the name of all of the firstborn sons and the firstborn children so that he can kill them, all of them in all of Gotham. And the way they like have his like cronies and his circus acts go and like get on, like they have a little train that goes around the city and like picks up all the children. It's really terrifying. It is the thing of nightmares as a parent. It is awful. I love it because it's very like also like Christmassy at the same time because they're like playing a Silent Night at the end of it, and it's very
Mhm.
like twinkle like ding 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 ding, but it's also terrifying. Great job, Tim Burton. You've made my Christmas nightmares come true.
The
Great.
Christmas nightmares are true. Yeah, absolutely. The Penguin is kind of an interesting character because yeah, he's cast away from his parents. Similar, not similar to Bruce Wayne, but Bruce Wayne, separated from his parents at an early age and ends up, kind of taking on this darker persona here for sure as the Penguin. Kind of has this run in with Max Shrek and it basically has some stuff there to blackmail Max Shrek with, and they decide they kind of put this plan together where the Penguin is going to run for office, I guess, basically, so he can push through all of Max Shrek's designs, and then the Penguin ends up kind of going off script there. I really like there's a scene where like Batman and Alfred like hijack like the speaker system. I look like Gotham City is like Gotham City is New York City, right? So the city of like 9 million people, and they have like the tree lighting thing, but it's on like this like tiny little stage, like in one place. That's the only place in the whole city where Christmas stuff is happening. I like that. But they like hijack the speakers, and like Bruce Wayne is there, and he's like scratching like the CD like it's a record, like he's an old DJ, and they're like remixing this thing, and he gets called out, and then of course goes nuts and decides to put his penguins into action to go through and like bomb all of Gotham City. And yeah, the penguins look pretty rad there with their little rockets and they look like those little like metal colander like hats kind of things that they're
Yeah.
they're wearing there. That's pretty great. That's pretty great. Yeah, so you have kind of those three villains and kind of the circular story, right? Selina Kyle is trying to get back at Max Shrek. Max Shrek is trying to get the one up on Penguin. The Penguin is trying to get the one up kind of on both of these characters. And in the background, of course, you have Batman there to foul all of these plans as they go. Batman does end up being, cast into a darker light, right? The exact same way that Christopher Nolan tells his story and uh, the the Dark Knight, right, where he is shown to be the bad guy, and they even hit on themes of that right through kind of to the end of the film, where I think it's the mayor of Gotham City asks Police Chief Gordon if Batman will ever forgive them, and he says no, but Batman's never going to let us be without him. So that's pretty neat. That's pretty neat to see that kind of thing. And then obviously, of course, Batman ends up getting the upper hand. Let's talk about kind of the end of the story here, and then I want to talk about this as a Christmas film. So I love this. You have kind of the end of the movie, you have penguins with rockets there. They're out. Batman like drives his like boat car like through this thing, like lands on top of Penguin, like crushes him to death. And about this time, all these penguins turn up because he's like routed their path. But my favorite part of the whole movie, I want to talk about how unhinged this is too before we wrap this up. But the Penguin has like this rubber duck car thing, and Batman is tracking him on like this little like radar thing, and on the radar thing it's a little rubber duck
So
on the radar.
great.
That's so amazing. That's so amazing. But the penguins are there. They rock it. This, and it like tears down this old like Gotham City Zoo aquarium thing where the penguins were. So that's pretty great. Catwoman turns up. Max Shrek is there, of course, and they have kind of their final confrontation there to the end. Batman goes down, sees Selina Kyle, and decides, she understands. She understands where I'm coming from, why I have to wear this mask. She has been unmasked now, right? Like her mask comes off
Mhm.
in the fight, as she takes, I don't know, like 7 gunshots from Max Shrek because she has 9 lives because she's a cat. So Batman's there and he takes off the cowl, right? Like he rips it off and shows her who she is. So that's pretty great. But no one's going to live to be able to tell who Bruce Wayne is. What do you think about this final piece where everyone kind of gets they kind of get their just rewards in a way, especially Selina, I think, in this instance, and maybe the Penguin
Yeah,
too. Max Shrek, he gets what he deserves. I mean, he does get a kiss from Catwoman. That's pretty rad, but unfortunately, it's on the other side of one of those tasers. That's not great. So,
yeah, it's a very electrical. Their chemistry is very
oh, but
electrical. Yeah. I really loved this kind of love triangle or it doesn't it's they because Selina and Bruce Wayne have obviously have an attraction to each other. There's a scene where they're at Max Shrek's party and they're dancing together, and we see them as they're masked, normal people. They're and they are obviously interested in each other. What we see before that, when it's Batman and Catwoman, they also have this palpable connection. And what I really loved about the end of this is that they, could the two things coexist and be together? And one of the things that I love about Bruce Wayne's character is he has been there. He has wanted revenge. The whole first movie is about him getting revenge, really, right? And having the opportunity to pay the Joker back for what he did to his father. Selina is a little bit less mature on that curve because it has just happened to her, what being thrown out of that window. So she wants to get revenge for Max Shrek against Max Shrek for that. And what I really love is Bruce Wayne tries to save her from herself, and even before this last big shootout between Max and Selina, he says, you don't have to do this. Come with me. I know that it hurts. Like we can, you don't have to do this. And she's like, nope, I'm doing it. And so she ends up getting shot a bunch of times, but it doesn't matter. She gets her revenge. And you don't really know like what is going to happen after this, right? If they're ever going to figure out a way to be together, or if this is going to be kind of a, hey, what could have been, but now you're my enemy because you're continuing to take the law into your own hands kind of thing. You have like the very last scene where the bat signal signs above the city and you see kind of Catwoman's silhouette kind of watching it. But you don't know if they're on the same team or if they're not at this point. But I really found this, like when you talk about a Christmas story and a story about like redemption and, figuring out who you are at Christmas time and all of that. I mean, I found that that was one of the takeaways was there was the duality between, Penguin and the Batman, between Max Shrek and the Batman, but also between Catwoman and the Batman because they were also both very similar. And he tries to save her from herself, and it does not work.
mhm.
So it's again darker because a Christmas movie, you're like, oh, everything should be fine at the end. But she gives in to her need for that vengeance, and ultimately gets it.
Yeah, absolutely. You have the stories of vengeance and redemption there. You have the stories of birth. I mentioned Selena Kyle's. We also have the Penguin's birth, right? As kind of this underground dweller without an identity who, is born again as Oswald Cobblepot and then is born as the Penguin as he gives up that identity. You have, I guess, kind of the birth of Max Shrek, who goes from just kind of this skeezy, like industrial billionaire kind of a guy to someone who murders and like joins like this crime family to to really get that. And I think you get the birth in a lot of ways of Bruce Wayne in this, where he takes off the mask as the Batman, and I think you really see kind of Bruce Wayne taking ownership of over who he is in the story as well. And that leads us into the Christmas story of all of this. I haven't watched this movie in quite a while. And then I saw a friend of the pod, Force Time Pod, had posted Batman Returns, that it was in fact a Christmas movie, and I said, yeah, for sure. So we are talking about it today as such because this is a Christmas movie, 1000%. The first line in the movie is "Merry Christmas." It's the couple that they walk by as they're going to chuck their kid into the river. That's not very Christmassy, but wishing someone a Merry Christmas, that is Christmassy. And the film ends with Alfred telling Bruce Wayne, Merry Christmas, and Bruce, I think, says like he's like, sure, peace on earth and something like that, like to end the thing, right? So it bookended with Merry Christmas. Basically, the whole thing takes place over Christmas. There are Christmas celebrations. There's the tree lighting. There is gift giving through all of these kind of Gotham City events uh, that are happening. And probably my favorite of these is Danny Elfman comes back to do the score here for Batman Returns after doing Batman's. And the first track, before we get into like the Batman themes of it, it sounds exactly like something he was probably writing at the exact same time for The Nightmare Before Christmas, which comes out in 1993, because it sounds like exactly like something that like got cut from Nightmare Before Christmas that is so Christmassy sounding in like this dark, haunting
Yeah.
Halloween town kind of a way.
Oh, for sure. For sure. It's funny. We should do, I mean, well, we've covered Nightmare Before Christmas. We've covered this. I wonder, are there any other Tim Burton Christmassy movies? Because
I think isn't
I,
Edward Scissorhands? Isn't that set at Christmas
oh
too, isn't it?
yeah, it is. I gotta add that to next year's list. It's so interesting how the old stories of Christmas, the Yuletide tales, are all a little scary. And
Mhm.
so I find it really interesting that this is so popular, this idea that like really terrifying things can happen at Christmas, even though it's supposed to be like this time of joy and peace and love and like all that. Um, and nobody seems to do it better than Tim Burton. Because this is, I agree with you. This is absolutely a Christmas movie. It is also absolutely unhinged. It is wild and zany, but it is also real dark. And if depending on what age and how long in your life you've been exposed to it, it can be really terrifying. Um, just some of the things that it talks about or like it kind of gets to the edge of without going overboard in. Um, and nobody does that sort of duality better than Tim Burton.
Yeah, exactly. It plays kind of on those Christmas tropes in a lot of ways,
Mm,
and obviously, it's you're telling a lot of Christmas story in here, but in a very very dark kind of way that only Tim Burton could do because it is dark and these themes in this movie are very dark, but it's also like fantastical and absolutely like unhinged and zany. I love the city design of Gotham City. I was reading a little bit about the background, and one reviewer, I think back in like 1992 when this came out, had said uh, the film revolves entirely around Christmas, but Christmas is entirely devoid of joy. In the story, and that's absolutely true
mm,
because I mean, you get the tree, and there's like nothing that like brings you joy about any of this like Christmas setting that there is, right? Like the tree doesn't make you happy. Like it looks very like harsh and architectural. Like the
mm.
presents, are like this like cartoonish, like overblown size that makes you feel like this like general like discomfort about them and like all this stuff. And I was like, that's really fascinating. And that goes down a lot to the world building that Tim Burton wanted to do. So I think this movie is very different than what we would have gotten had Tim Burton not returned to have done it. It would have been something more like Batman Forever, I think, which was the next one, which went to just this, very like cartoony sort of elements, which people also revolted against. And that takes me back to kind of what I said. Like when this came out, like people really didn't seem to care for it. I think because it was so like absolutely like unhinged. Partially, I think because it was like Batman. The 1989 Batman is pretty dark, but this is like really, really dark. Like the characters. I mean, you have Danny DeVito, who's a little bit more over the top than the Joker was in the first one, I think. But like the themes of this, like the overt like sexuality of Catwoman, the yeah, the the stealing of children, the like the murderous like deception of Max Shrek, like all of the themes in this thing are dark as could be from like the first moment of the thing. Like the parents are sitting there drinking their martinis, their kid is born, and then all of a sudden he's in like this black leather cage, like stealing the cat and getting shipped upriver. Like this thing from beginning to end is dark
Oh
as could
yeah.
be.
Oh yeah, there's a scene between Penguin and Catwoman where she literally puts a bird of his in her mouth and he is gonna kill one of her cats. And this is like foreplay. Like it's real dark. It's that was almost worse than any of the other stuff for me, is that she becomes this person that has been like assaulted with words. Like they, Max Shrek is talking about how they haven't house trained her properly and things like that in a boardroom, which is super gross and awful. And then, then turnabout's fair play, and she will grope men, and they will not love it. But like somehow she's like, what? That's not okay, but it's okay for you to like it. All of it's just
Mhm.
gross. And that piece, I think, as a woman, especially like this year, has really resonated with me, where I was like, oh my gosh. And then there, this idea that it's this weird, like dark sensuality as well attached to all of that, because everybody wants Catwoman, even though they're pretty sure that she could kill them really easily. Like, and that still is kind of adds to the excitement. I mean, that's pretty dark in and of itself. And this is a film that kids watched. So it's just, I don't blame audiences for not quite knowing what to do with it. Because I would say that even though this is really visually amazing and it's a comic book character and a comic book story, this is not for kids. It's not a kids movie. It's kind of like
This,
how I felt about Dick Tracy, right? Where I was like, it
yeah.
looks great because it's super visually stimulating and there's bright colors and stuff. It looks great. Not for kids though. Not don't mistake that. It's kind of like um there was that animated cartoon that was also not for kids that everybody took their kids to and then were shocked. And I can't remember the name of it, but they were like, "Oh my gosh." And it was like, "Yeah, do some research. This is not for your child." Yeah.
Not for your childhood. Well, the research was harder in 1992, but you could definitely
Fair.
definitely do
Fair.
it. Definitely do it now. It leans pretty hard on that PG-13. But yeah, Batman Returns. I was so glad that we decided to cover it here. Not only for Christmas, because certainly I think it has a place in your Christmas rotation, possibly if you want something that's a little less, syrupy, a little bit, a little bit darker. Maybe that's what you want. But like, I really, really liked this. I hadn't watched it probably in, I don't know, like 15 years, maybe something like that. But like I said, I used to watch it quite a bit because I had the VHS copy of it when I was a kid. So I remember watching it and liking it enough then. But yeah, I haven't watched it in a long time, but definitely glad to have gone back to it. So let us know what your thoughts are about the 1992 Christmas film that is Batman Returns. Let us know who your favorite Batman is. Is it Michael Keaton? It should be. Let us know who your favorite Catwoman is. Is it Michelle Pfeiffer? It should be. And let us know what you think about the Gotham City Cat. Try some barrel-aged gin. Let us know that. If you have any good cocktail recipes or cocktail ideas to use that barrel-aged gin, Michaela would be grateful because she has a whole bottle of it now. So send those our way. You can do that on our social medias. It's at Drink the Movies on Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, and Facebook.com/Drink the Movies. If you want to see what we're doing with the podcast, merchandise shop, the things we've got going on, you can go over to the website, which is www.drinkthemovies.com. You go there, recipes, episode recaps, all that stuff, and a link to our Patreon, which is where you need to go to get bonus content. We're doing a lot of fun bonus stuff here this month. We've done our hangouts. We did our last of the like live stream video podcast episodes. We did one of those there as our last kind of final run before we start those up, and those are going to be on YouTube. You want to make sure you go to YouTube, check that out. That link is going to be in the show notes down below, because we're going to start doing a video podcast here once a month is the idea. You can also see us drinking our whiskey and wine as we make it through the month of December here. So do all of those things. We definitely appreciate it. And we definitely appreciate anyone who takes a moment to leave us a rating, because that helps get Drink the Movies out there. Michaela, where can they do that? Where can they subscribe to the podcast? Where can they leave reviews? Where can they do all that stuff?
You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Good Pods, anywhere where Spotify podcasts are supported and distributed. If you're listening to us right now, I guarantee there is a subscribe button And there's also a way to leave a 5-star review if you're loving what you're hearing. We do 2 drops a week. We Our lobby bars are usually on Mondays, and we talk about everything that's going on in the box office and everything that's coming up. And then we also have our deep dives, like the one you just listened to. If you're liking what you're hearing, leave us a 5-star review. Share this on all your social media sites. It really helps build the community out, and gets all of the Drink the Movies love out there. Now, if in any realm you are a video game fan, you need to stop what you're doing and you need to go find Drink the Video Games. Um, we have There's a new episode out. Brian does an amazing job. It is Beat 'em Up. Is it called Beat 'em Up? Am I saying it right? Beat 'em Up
Yep.
video games. This new episode is really fun. I pop in to give a cocktail and talk about that, of course, but it is also awesome, and you should check that out. Get all the Drink the Video Games, Drink the Movies love out there.
Absolutely. Thank you for that plug. And yeah, go check that out wherever you're listening to this. Just drink the video game. So that is going to wrap it up here for episode 247, Batman Returns. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll talk to you next time on
Drink
Drink
the
the
Movies.
Movies.
You don't really think you'll win, do ya? So good.